Shalom, shalom, and welcome. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and this is Rise of the Judges series, a series to alert, empower, and encourage individuals to recognize set-apart judges anointed by the Almighty Creator, the Almighty Father Yahuah. You see, my brothers and sisters, judging is something that is very vital for the building up of a set-apart body, a set-apart nation, to those drawn by the Almighty Father Yahuah to His Word Yahusha, as mentioned in John 6:44. With that said, this segment of Rise of the Judges is called Check Motivational Sources. I want to begin by mentioning Endtimes will prove why we should check motivation sources. Check motivation sources. My brothers and sisters, do not shun the word judge, nor flee from it. Do not despise of it. I suggest strongly that we are eager to receive righteous judgments to make us refined, renewed, stronger, wiser, more able to better serve, better worship, and obey the living Almighty One. Let's get into this check motivation sources. This slide right here, I want to give some addresses because just in case some people are not aware that I am familiar with verses that talk about times of judging and times to not judge. Therefore, I am presenting some addresses. So one, do not grab one verse and say, you're not supposed to be judging. You shouldn't judge. I show where it says times you shouldn't judge and times you should judge. Let me read those addresses. And I encourage you, if you want, to pause and go look these up. Proverbs 31:9. And I'm quoting addresses from the eSword, version 11. Ezekiel 20, verse 4. Matthew 7, 1 through 9, Luke 6:37, John 7:24, John 8:15 through 16, 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 12 through 16. And you can get them on the slide if you can, if you're watching it. Otherwise, let me repeat it again rapidly. Proverbs 31:9. Ezekiel 20, verse 4, Matthew 7, 1 through 9, Luke 6:37, John 7:24, John 8:15 through 16, and 1 Corinthians chapter 2, 12 through 16. Each of these passages talk about judging in some way, shape, or form. Seek to discern the life in them. Okay, my brothers and sisters, I have some words presented on this slide if you're watching it. If you're listening, I'll read slowly. Gasoline, diesel, propane, kerosene, nitrogen, food, water, nuclear, electricity, sun, location, people. To get the best out of this portion of the message, it would be good if you can see these words and take a look at them and take a moment and number each word in priority, meaning which is more important than the other. This task can be done mentally or literally. It's best done literally. I invite you to strongly invite others to participate in this exercise. I also would encourage you to invite others to listen to the entire message along the way. Now I have some terms, some words that I want you to prioritize. Which comes before the other? Which one is more important than the other? You see, the common factor of each of the words I presented is that they all are related to fuel. Fuel. Fuel is a source of energy, and believe it or not, connects to actions in our everyday lives. One way or another, there is something that fuels our actions, or I could replace with the word motivate. What motivates us? Where does our motivation come? Each day something moves us. Things occur that make us do something, starting with waking up and ending with going to sleep. Something occurred or happened. It is time to stop taking for granted the life given by the Almighty Yahuah and begin identifying why we are given another moment of life. Check those motivational sources. What's motivating us to do whatever it is we do, or will do, or anticipate doing? Take a look at Deuteronomy 8:3. It is something I reflect on each day, especially at my age. I am 65. Praise Yahusha for living this long, physically. Deuteronomy 8:3 says, and he humbled you, and this is from the Eastward version, and let you suffer hunger, and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, to make you know that man doesn't not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuah. You see, it's not what we physically eat that comes first. It is the word of Yahuah that gives us life and the ability to eat, the ability to function. Let us be motivated by the fact that the Almighty Father has given us another day to live. We tend to ask the question with the word why when faced with shocking and painful news. Let us begin asking why each day and discover how prayer without ceasing can provide clear answers as we go through the day. Why? What is the anticipation? What is the expectation? Believe it or not, it is not a difficult task if we put Abba Yahuah first in the beginning of our day. My brothers and sisters, we are made one by Yahusha, the word of the Almighty Father Yahuah. Made one. That means Yahuah did something to bring us to where we are. Each moment, each day. But what was the motivating factor? What was the motivating source? Stay with me, my brothers and sisters. How many of us has asked the question each morning, who, when, where, how, what? Who will I meet today? Who will I encounter today? When and where? How will I respond to them? How will they respond to me? What do they see in me? You see, some of the simplest things we do, we fail to realize people are watching. Brother or sister, man or woman or child. Let us be mindful and wise how we govern ourselves. Let us check the motivation sources that carry us throughout the day. We are beginning to see the words never before very frequently. It is time for us to begin identifying the need to check motivational sources. Why? Because we are facing things like never before. These fuel our actions. It would be wise to realize what follows motivational sources. I'm motivated to do what? To say what? To be what? In order to better understand why this message is important, my brothers and sisters. it is important to know what's motivating us. You probably say, okay, well, he sounds like a broken record. Consider these words. Let's visit something. Proverbs 10th chapter, verse 4. Proverbs 10:4 in the East Sword says, poor is he who works with a lazy hand, but the hand of the hard worker makes rich. Do we want to be poor in spirit and poor in perception, poor and weak? Or do we want to be rich in spirit? And some of us desire to be rich naturally, practically. Some of us are richer than others, but take for granted what we have, what we've been given, what favors we have received from the Almighty Father. Proverbs 12:24 says, the hand of the hard worker rules, but the lazy is put to compulsory labor. The lazy one. You see, because sometimes people don't realize it takes a lot of effort to try to motivate a lazy person. It takes a lot of work for the lazy person. Oftentimes, they don't work smarter. They work harder. Let us not be in that category. Proverbs 21:25 say, the desire of the lazy man slays him, for his hands refuse to work. My brothers and sisters, what do you think is unfolding before our very eyes? What are your expectations and anticipation for the upcoming days? Allow me to point your attention to a sample of things that may have snared us, things that may have been a weight or is weighing us down, and we don't realize it, can come in the face of teachings. If the teachings are not ordered, directed by the Spirit of the Almighty Father, then we are caught in the snare of erroneous teachings. Attire. Are we spending time arguing, debating, channeling our resources to look good, to look like a Hebrew, so to speak, by wearing garments that are embroidered with different insignias, with different names, whether it be Yahuah, Yahusha, or Menorah, or a lion's head? Are we spending our resources on things to try to look good? So is vanity motivating us? What about language? Are we spinning our wheels thinking we're going to learn the original language now? Are we caught in the snare by teachers who claim to be teaching Hebrew and it's not? Teaching modern Hebrew, interchanging modern Hebrew with Paleo Hebrew, but no fluent sentences. Look around at any of these teachers, any of these Moors that claim to be teaching Hebrew, and look for one, at the very least, follower, where they can speak a fluent conversation in modern or Paleo Hebrew. Fluent conversation. Or just simple sentences like, can you give me some water? May I have a piece of bread? Are you going to the gas station? I've seen Morays that claim to be teaching us Hebrew, modern and Paleo, for years. And even them alone cannot spew out fluent sentences with another that's been under their tutelage. How effective do you think a teacher is if he cannot transfer the skills and knowledge that he or she commands to another fluently? Do you honestly believe there are scriptures that tell us to do that? What about marriage? Some of us are caught in the snare, motivated to fight against polygyny. I'm saying one man, multiple wives. Motivated to fight against marriage, because there are the single individuals who say, I am married to Yahushua and I don't need a wife. I don't want a wife. They can talk about those that are married. Let us not place our individual convictions in a position that we are motivated to falsely charge and accuse or condemn what another brother is convicted to do. When the day begins and when it ends, what's motivating us to believe that we know when Shabbat starts and when it ends? What's motivating? What's the motivating factor behind that? The shape of the earth. Is it a globe? Is it a round sphere? Or is it flat? Many people, because they don't understand physics, size, and motion, don't understand the dynamics of how the earth can be round. But I say to you, who is motivating you? Are you saying it's common sense? Or are you convinced by the argument someone put before you? Or are you allowing our lack of knowledge to cause us to pick the wrong understanding? My brothers and sisters, at night in a clear sky, we can see the different spheres out in space. And with a good telescope, you can see the spheres out in space. Do you believe everything is a sphere out in space, but the earth is flat? Do you believe that? Check the motivation. Are you going along with the crowd? Have you ever asked someone why you believe the earth is flat, or why do you believe it's a sphere? Exhaustive questions? Or did you tire in listening to the explanation and stopped? It's a danger to stopping without fully examining the matter, my brothers and sisters. It's time to begin looking at what's important and prioritize them in the order that is needed for bringing unity, for set apart Yashar'al. What's motivating you? What stance have you taken in your positions of belief? Have any of these items caused a snare? Search the root cause of what's motivating you to stand behind any teaching, belief on how you should dress, language, marriage, when the day begins or ends, and whether the earth is flat or round. I invite each of us to begin asking questions that begin with why. Checking motivation sources can lead to discovering what really has influenced specific positions of belief. How do we get to these positions? Did we study and pray? Did we commit the matter to research? Did we just trust the text, possibly a specific translation? Were we seduced into thinking all different translations of the scriptures are the word of Yahuah, ignoring that he, Abba Yahuah, never changes and is a living Almighty One, and it is he who makes the letter, the text, alive. When he makes alive and we discern that sound, that still influence and direction, that is the living spirit of Yahuah. That is his word. The text, the letter, are pointers to point us to him. So in our praying without ceasing, the letter, when we discern the spirit, the letter confirms, reaffirms, and strengthens. Remember, 2 Corinthians chapter 3:6 speaks of where the letter kills and the spirit makes alive. My brothers and sisters, you see, we can read anything, but we have to comprehend and understand. And sometimes if we stop with just comprehension levels, we're responding based on how we've been conditioned to think. So we must go beyond that and seek to discern the living spirit of Yahuah, making things clear that we can understand them. Come with me, my brothers and sisters, to Philippians 1:9 through 11. Philippians 1:9 through 11. And this I pray, that your love might extend more and more in knowledge and all discernment. Discernment is when the spirit of Yahuah reveals. And when he reveals, here we can determine what motivates us next. It said, for you to examine the matters that differ in order to be sincere and not stumbling until the day of Messiah, being filled with the fruit of righteousness through Yahushua Messiah, to the esteem and praise of the Almighty One. My brothers and sisters, when we begin to examine, take the initiative to study, pray earnestly, seek to discern and understand, motivation sources will change for the better. Because there are some things that will be corrected, some things that will energize us, some things that will make us do better. Let us check what is motivating us, what is making us stronger, or what may be weighing us down, and do something about it. Be motivated to do something about it. Let us measure and work towards a strong, set-apart position by realizing the needs to check motivation sources. Rise up, set-apart family. It is assessment time and a season to follow energized instructions. Look for instructions that make you get up or make you be still to soak in the instructions from the Spirit of the Almighty, that make you turn left or turn right, go forward or go backwards. Help to give or to receive. But know this, my brothers and sisters, let us each day be motivated to do the things that Abba Yahuah would have us do. Rise up, O Yashar'al. Have the discussion. What motivates you today? Why are you doing this or that? For what reason? For what purpose? And is it something that we want our child to learn, our children to learn? Someone unlearned, undiscerning to learn? Are we setting an example? Are we motivated to do the things that are set apart? My brothers and sisters, let us discover the right fuel for the correct task. You see, end times are coming. Would it make sense to jump in an electric car knowing you have to go a long distance and there are no charging points along the way, versus jumping in a gasoline or diesel-powered vehicle that have fueling stations along the way? Will it make sense, my brothers and sisters? As end times ramp up and things get intense and great destruction is close by, to choose a bike over a motorized, fueled vehicle? Would it make sense to anticipate taking the journey and not at the very least think about taking a little water? And is there water along the journey? Let us check what motivates us, and let us be motivated to set priorities. Let us be motivated to work with one another. For soon and very soon, as the plan of the Almighty Father ramps up with intensity, we must begin to discern what motivation sources are provided and act. Yes, this message is redundant. It's just as though an alarm or a siren was going off. It will repeat itself and repeat itself till it's no longer needed. Have this discussion with a brother or sister and ask them what motivates them, whether it be work, cooking, taking care of family, loving their wife loving their husband. Whatever the case may be, just be mindful. Our actions are motivated by something, by someone. And let us move away from grumbling and be motivated by the guidance of the Spirit of Yahuah. That's all I have for now on this matter. Sometimes things will occur that we'll wish we was motivated to do something else. How does this fit in Rise of the Judges? Judgments will go forth. And if you are motivated by the wrong person, it could mean life or death. End times are about to get intense. They have in some places. Ask some of the people who have been migrating from one place to the next. Ask them, are these days intense for them? Do they bring uncertainty? So let us be motivated to lean towards the spiritual guidance of the Almighty Father and receive the living orders and guidance that will enable us, empower us to make righteous judgment, to perfect our walk, our worship, our obedience, and set apartness. On that note, to you, my brother, my sister, I say, stay tuned. There's much more to come. If I said anything that stirred your spirit, at the very least, consider subscribing, share, like. Let us utilize this algorithm that YouTube allows us to have and spread the tidbits of encouragement, the things that stir and push us closer to Abba Yahuah in the name of Yahusha. On that note, I say thank you. Stay tuned. There's more to come. Shalom, my brother, my sister, my family.